Tim Burton made one the Joker and the other the prom queen. Can today's contestants connect Jack Nicholson to Winona Ryder? We're going to find out on today's 5 to 9. Welcome to 5 to 9. I'm your host, Eric Ginsberg, and we're coming to you today from Asbury Park's only two-story movie theater, the Showroom Cinema on Cookman Avenue. Do you love movies? Do you love getting lost in the IMDb, the Internet Movie Database? Do you love thinking through, oh, who was that guy? Who was in that thing? What's his face? Then this is your show, and this game is for you. My first guest today is somebody who says they should never stop making Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies. Please welcome poet Josh Fink. Josh, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me.
So tell me, why do you never want them to stop making Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies?
It's just a good time. I mean, it's obviously nostalgia for people of my age and a couple years above me, but they're fun. They're fun movies, and even if they make a bad iteration of it, you give it half a generation, they'll respawn, recast them, do it again, and they'll either make a great one or they'll make a bad one, and you wait for it to cycle through. They
really do. So what would you say is like the best film adaptation of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and what would you say is the worst?
Well, the best is obviously the original, the 1990 Jim Henson puppetry stuff.
Sure.
Just fantastic.
Corey Feldman was the voice of Donatello.
Yes, he was. It was those were super fun. I would say, yeah, the original is definitely the best one. I would say the worst one is the second sequel to that, the Turtles, when they go to
Secret of the Ooze?
No, the second sequel.
Oh, so the number 3 when they go back into ancient Japan.
I made that confusing second sequel. That was my fault.
Sure.
Yes, when they go back to Japan and they couldn't afford the Jim Henson puppet crew anymore, so the Turtles looked a little janky and their eyes were sort of unsettling. Yeah.
I remember standing online at the movie theater with my best friend to see that movie. I remember it crystal clear. So you also told me that you wish that more of your friends would watch Johnny Dangerously so you could talk about it together.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you, A, how many times I've seen it, or B, how excited I was when I was in Los Angeles and I saw Michael Keaton in person. And like, that's what I wanted to talk about. But, you know, you got to leave the man alone. So give me like what piece of Johnny Dangerously is like your go-to? Because there's so many great moments of it.
Oh man, I mean, it's actually been a while since I've seen it, honestly. But we were recently with some friends. We were in some mutual company discussing that film, and it popped into my head. I was like, man, I wish I could talk to more people about that, because it's not a film that a lot of people are familiar with, but it's a lot of fun, and I think it's really unique in its style and the time that it came out. Like, it's got some very Mel Brooks-y feels to it.
Sure,
but like in a very
joke.
Yeah. It's such a unique but very fun, very energetic film, and I think it's very unique for its time.
Okay,
there was nothing like that at the time.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, there's all the Joe Piscopo parts with, once. And there's, the Danny DeVito, all this can be yours if you just play ball.
Yes.
And there's the part where he tries to convince his brother to stay in law school.
Oh, yeah.
Lest he develop elephantitis. So, Josh, you are a poet. You have a book out. It's called The Bones of Madness. Tell us about that.
Oh, yeah. So it's been out for a while. It's not a new publication, but it is something I worked very hard on for a long time. I'm very proud of. It's a collection of poetry. It's basically a mix of narrative fiction pieces, some autobiographical stuff, and some things that are actually a little bit of a mix of the two. I play a lot with sort of lyrical rhyme patterns and things. It's always been something I've been good at, so I kind of incorporated that into the work. And it gets a little grim at sometimes. It gets a little humorous sometimes, but it's a wild ride. It's not what you would call the usual thing that people think when they think a collection of poetry. It takes you on some adventures. I think it's got something for everybody in it. So
okay, all right. And you perform poetry live around Monmouth County and elsewhere, including as part of the New Jersey Poetry Renaissance. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been doing spoken word poetry for a long time, hitting microphone, open mics, poetry shows, all sorts of things like that for a very long time. And my friend Damian Rucci started this movement a while back that has been dubbed the New Jersey Poetry Renaissance with our other friends, Cord Moreski, Rebecca Weber. This thing took off. It became a documentary that aired on PBS, and it's just blown up, and it's become this huge movement with new shows growing and starting and branching up at, cafes, bars, all sorts of places. And it's really just become this great way for people to come out and connect with each other and network. And, we incorporate the comedy element in there. So we've got stand-up acts. We've got people who do spoken word stuff, do prose performance, do the poetry thing, obviously, and it's just a really great growth in the community that we've got so many different personalities showing up, so it becomes a really interesting show with the mix of people that you see. You never know what you're going to get.
Sure. All right.
It's a lot of fun.
All right. Well, our next contestant today is also a part of the New Jersey Poetry Renaissance. He is a man whose childhood crush was Jennifer Connelly, and he can watch Labyrinth again and again, quote it all the time. Another Josh, but we'll call him Dogmatic. Dogmatic, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
And tell me, what about Labyrinth made it like your favorite movie as a kid and a movie that you can still quote the most today?
It was like I grew up watching Muppets and Muppet stuff, and Star Wars was ever present, but Labyrinth was when, like, I don't know, it was its own thing. When it came out, it was new, it was fresh, it wasn't related to a culture that was already out there. Like, I felt like, oh, you should watch the Muppets. Like, okay, yeah, we'll watch the Muppets because it's on Sundays and Dad'll watch it with us. Good. Okay. You should watch Star Wars but I was introduced to Star Wars at Return of the Jedi,
Okay.
But when Labyrinth came out,
it was even more Muppets.
Right. It was more Muppets.
This is a theme today.
Right. Already attached to it. But it was immediately for us. It was for the kids, and we'd reenact scenes and stuff. Like,
sure. So David Bowie obviously plays the antagonist Jareth, and Jim Henson always knew that he wanted a rock star in that role. They considered Prince, they considered Sting, they considered Michael Jackson before landing on Jareth. And you can actually see Jareth's full costume at the Academy Museum in Hollywood, in West Hollywood. It is really neat.
Did it get an Academy Award for costumes? I'm assuming.
No, not necessarily. That's not how that museum works. But
okay.
The museum celebrates film
not
in
about
general.
The awards, it's just the films.
Of course. But it was neat, like seeing the actual costume.
Yeah.
And, so Bowie's not in it, but. You also mentioned that you will watch from any point. You will watch Groundhog Day over and over again, and not only will you watch that movie again and again and again and again and again, which is, I guess, the point of the movie. But also, you have made the pilgrimage to Gobbler's Knob for Groundhog Day. How many times now?
Non-consecutively, because that's the only thing that matters, apparently. 10 times now. This past year was my 10th time being out there.
10 times. Now, Jason, you also made the pilgrimage 10 times. And what did you do when you made that 10th pilgrimage?
Oh, I got my tattoo when I got home, but I will proudly take partial responsibility for allowing our other friend to get his 10-year tattoo on the knob during the prognostication, which is a story for a different podcast.
Yes. Let's not talk about how he got his knob tattooed.
To be clear, we're talking about Gobbler's Knob. So,
doesn't sound better, Eric.
No.
No.
I will pivot us back to movies, though. Labyrinth was nominated for Best Costumes at the Academy of Science Fiction, Fantasy, and Horror Films.
Thank you so much. So, Dogmatic, what is it about making that pilgrimage that's important to you? And did it start with a love for the movie, or are those two things parallel in your life without intersection?
I think I loved the movie before I went, but it had nothing to do with my going. I went because of idiot friends that said, you got to come do this thing. It's like, you should come and paint on Gobbler's Knob. That'd be amazing. And I was like, I'll try that. And like went the first time, was like, this is a really dumb idea. We should do it again. Let's, and they're like, we've been coming for years. And I think Smiley at that point was almost at his 10th year, or he was already at a 10th year. And
our listeners don't know who that is.
Don't know who Smiley is.
One of the idiots who said you had to come.
One of the idiots that goes annually.
But pivoting, you said painting Gobbler's Knob. You are known perhaps best in our local scene here as somebody who does live painting of musicians, of bands.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about that?
It's the most fun hobby I've ever had. It was just a thing. I'd go hang out at bars and watch bands play and just paint for my own sake and enjoy myself, just sitting at a table with a canvas and some paints. And a friend of mine was like, "Oh, you should come to my show. We'll set you up. You can do a painting of the band." And I could not. I could paint, but I couldn't do a portrait of the band in that amount of time. That, bands at most 45 minutes.
Sure.
Unless, like, what I was starting with was the jam bands, which would have like 2-3 sets.
Sure, but then so what's changed for you? Because now you do that.
Years and years of doing it. Like, now I can paint a portrait of a band in like a 20-minute set if I really, really buckle down and just do that. And it's like, oh, it's a showcase show. You got to paint all of them. And doing it for charity, I think I've done a number of charities because what I do is unique. It grabs people's attention in the moment. And with that, I can say, okay, well, we're auctioning this off for charity, and I can pull $200-300 out of somebody else's pocket that I can't pull out of my own.
Sure.
By doing what I do.
Sure. And so that's a way that you can contribute.
Yeah.
And also to be a part of the event, be a part of the spectacle.
So
be
much fun.
Something else to see. And you recently had a showing of a lot of your art just up over here on Cookman Avenue, the kind of main arts vein of Asbury Park. Can you tell me about your show?
Friends of mine, Brittany and Pat over at Art 629, I believe, named after the address, not some other weird assortment of numbers.
Yep. The showroom is right here at 707 Cookman. They're at 629 Cookman.
Yep.
That's how blocks work here in town.
It's amazing. Numbers. They obviously they're a local gallery. They like featuring local artists, and had some space in her schedule and was like, hey, do you want to hang some art, because I've got time in between one and another, and instead of just putting my paintings back up again, I'd like to feature somebody different, get somebody new in. And it went over great. I had friends come and play. I did some live painting while we were there.
That was probably my favorite aspect of it, was that much of the art. So a lot of times when you paint live, the artist who you painted will say, well, gee, I want that painting of me, and then we'll buy it from you. And so this showing was all the paintings, not all the paintings, but was consisting of paintings that you had not sold. So they were in many cases musicians and bands who are known in the area, who were too cheap to buy their own painting. No, they're very nice people, but you painted them many times, and they're not going to buy it every time. But then as you're trying to both, sell the paintings that you're still hanging on to, you're making more right there in the moment. And it's
I'm just creating more of a storage problem for my future. Nice.
All right. So, guys, before we play 5 to 9, we're going to do a little warm-up round. Before the show, we asked you both to write down the names of 5 actors. We're going to pull one name out of the hat and give you guys 60 seconds to name as many of that actor's movies as possible. So any movie they've appeared in counts. Are you guys ready? And Jason, do we have 60 seconds on the clock?
I've got 60 seconds on the clock.
60 seconds on the clock. So the late, great Ray Liotta, in 60 seconds, name as many movies as you can, starting now.
I got Goodfellas.
That's one.
Goodfellas 2?
No.
Got Heartbreakers.
That's 2.
Ray Liotta's B movie.
That is correct for 3. There was no Goodfellas 2, but there was My Blue Heaven, which does pick up fictionally where it left off.
Absolutely.
Written by the written by the wife of the writer of Goodfellas, Nora Ephron.
Who's
Nora Ephron wrote.
He was in Killing Them Softly, wasn't he?
He wasn't Killing Them Softly.
Yeah. All right.
What's he in right now? It's in the theaters.
In right now?
It's
theaters?
in theaters right now.
You got me on that one.
People still. Oh, I shouldn't ask that question.
Oh, he was in Field of Dreams.
He was in Field of Dreams. Shoeless Joe Jackson. That's right.
There you go.
Excellent.
Dogmatic, you want to contribute to this? You want to make Josh Fink do it all on his own?
No, that was my plan. That's why I brought him. I was willing to go pick his ass up so we could answer some questions.
What else? We have seconds left.
I'm feeling the tension.
Ray Liotta.
That is time.
That is
time.
time. Gentlemen, right now he's in Cocaine Bear.
Oh, okay.
In
Not know
theaters right now.
Which we're going to go see right after this.
We should.
Man.
Not the kind of film they play here at the showroom.
Could.
But
not really, but they
yeah.
could.
And I was at
Cocaine Bear,
I was
sorry.
at Universal City Walk to go see a movie, and I saw his outfit from Cocaine Bear. That's, I guess, putting outfits
Also
on
the
display.
Academy?
No, just at the Universal City Walk.
Okay.
Like Kerry Russell's jumpsuit and Ray Liotta's like red leather jacket. But Jason, what else is Ray Liotta in?
No, there's a lot of TV credits here,
A
so
lot,
I'm going to skip all of those. You
Wasn't
guys
he on
got
The
you guys got
Simpsons?
most
I'm
of
assuming he's in The Simpsons.
you guys got most of the other most well-known ones. He was on The Simpsons as Moe's son, Morty Sislak.
My favorite role of his, my favorite film of his, was probably the movie Identity.
That's right. Identity. It's a great movie.
With John Cusack
Yes.
and Sean Patrick, right?
I believe you.
Who was in T2 as the T-1000.
Oh, okay.
Jason,
Not familiar.
Jason, no, not Jason Patrick.
not Jason.
Anyway, so what else is Ray Liotta in,
He's-
Jason?
Just some of the more interesting ones are a couple movies that
He's
just
not in
keep
that
coming up over and over again. Sin City 2, Name to Kill For,
Yeah.
and
that
Muppets Most
Robert
Wanted.
Patrick. is who
Muppets
you're
Most
thinking of.
Robert Patrick.
But he
thank
is
you
not
very
in
much.
Identity. He's not in the movie.
He's not?
No, he's not in the movie.
Huh. Thought he had a small part in that.
Nope.
All right. Well, then you're going to win this game.
We hope.
Guys, the real reason we invited you both here today is to play the movie game 5 to 9, where you'll have to connect actors to actors through no fewer than 5 and no more than 9 movies. I'm going to pull names out of the hat. Gentlemen, it is time to open up your game pads.
Gamepad.
I've got one.
Let's
That was-
crinkle that thing open.
I'm afraid I want to hurt it.
Hurt it.
I don't want. I don't want
Bend it.
Rip
Spindle it. I
And
never
then-
knew what spindling was.
And then I'm going to pull
win a
2
business
names out of the
card.
hat.
Who's this guy? Eric?
Yeah,
Never heard of him.
that's the information for
He's not in any
the
movies.
podcast. So, guys, we're
Yet.
going to put in the from spot, we're going to put Jack Nicholson.
You want me to?
Here's
that was
Johnny.
Okay.
And the ones. What am I doing?
From.
From
Jack Nicholson.
Jack Nicholson. And we're going to go from Jack Nicholson,
Mhm.
from Jack Nicholson to Winona Ryder.
Oh, look out!
We'll put her in the 2 spot. Winona Ryder. Now I'm going to draw one more name for our wild card, and you have to get from Jack Nicholson to Winona Ryder. But if you can get it through Sigourney Weaver, you're going to get 3 bonus points.
I think we can do that.
I think we got this.
All right. Now, one more thing, guys. We're going to spin the house rules wheel.
Okay.
And depending on what the house rule wheel says, either if you can get that to happen, or every time you land on it, you'll get a bonus point. The house rule today is from page to screen. Jason, do you want to tell them what from page to screen means?
Sure, from page to screen, any movie that is based on a book will earn you an additional bonus point.
All right. So we're going to put
We can
Jack
do a number of
Nicholson
those.
in the from spot. And before we get started, before we get moving, we'd like to apologize in advance to the actors who spent a career building a body of work whose faces we know, but whose names we may butcher. And to all the hardworking writers, directors, and producers who picked the perfect name for a film that we may likely fumble through. I swear, we really do love your work. Now, Josh and Josh, Dogmatic and Fink, you'll be playing together, and I'll be here on the sideline to offer help along the way, but not too much help. Are you guys ready to play?
Sure.
All right, so
If
start.
he says so, I'm on.
Start talking it out. How can we get from Jack Nicholson to Winona Ryder, ideally through Sigourney Weaver? You'll also get 2 bonus points if you can make it through Kevin Bacon, and 1 bonus point for every Saturday Night Live cast member you go through.
Well, we can get easy house rules. There's definitely a number of books.
Yeah,
Cuckoo's
got
Nest.
Cuckoo's Nest. Shining.
Shining.
Uh,
What other Jack Nicholson books?
oh,
We don't have
jeez.
to just do points, but I feel like
Right.
we've got good connections
Absolutely.
from both of those.
Sure.
So
So who else is in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's
Well,
Nest?
you got a ton in Cuckoo's Nest. I mean, you got Danny DeVito. You've got
so many connections.
Christopher Lloyd.
And that was before they were in Taxi together.
That's right.
Christopher Lloyd is. He was in a lot. Well, good connection. He was
Right.
in a lot
He's-
of
yeah.
leaps. There weren't. good connections in The Shining, but not many connections in The Shining.
I mean,
Right.
it's
A very
mostly just
bottle
Shelley
film.
Duvall.
Yeah. Who was in a lot of movies with
Right.
lots of other people.
But you could loop back to Cuckoo's Nest with Scat McCrothers, but that just puts you back where you started.
Sure. Okay, so Jack Nicholson was in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's
I
Nest.
think Cuckoo's Nest is a good place.
And who do you want to go to, and maybe how can
DeVito
you get
or
from that person to
Lloyd?
Sigourney Weaver?
DeVito, I think he's a little more versatile.
We're going to get to... okay.
So Danny DeVito, I have to point out, because we're sitting here in Asbury Park, is our native son.
That's right.
He is from Asbury Park, right here.
Although I have to take issue with Danny DeVito on one thing. As a New Jerseyan, he was asked in an interview recently whether it's called pork roll or Taylor ham, and he went Taylor ham. And Danny,
Okay? He's
Danny,
dead to us.
Danny,
He's dead
we
to
love
us.
He
you,
is no longer in New Jersey.
but please, Danny, please come, please see the light. Please see the light.
he lives in Philadelphia now. It's canon.
All right, so we're with that said, we're going with
With
Jack.
Christopher Lloyd, then, obviously. Not Danny DeVito. He's horrible. I think DeVito's good. I think there's
we'll go
there's
with-
lots to...
So how do we,
yeah, he's
how
got
do
a
we
lot.
get from him to Sigourney Weaver?
Cuckoo's Nest with Danny DeVito. I'm just catching up my thing
Danny
here.
DeVito films. Who was in?
He's in so many
Tilda.
movies.
Yes, he's in.
He was
That's
great
why I
in
was
Big
like,
Fish, right?
Sure. He was in Big Fish and a number of other
which is
Tim
another
Burton movies.
which we'll get.
yes,
3 Burton movies I can think of quickly off the top of my head.
yeah.
That might be too fast.
Let me think here.
Yeah, no, we definitely could not go.
we need to be a minimum of 5,
through-
right?
That's correct. The game is
We
5
can't
to
just
9.
1, 2, 3 and be there.
We could not. You're right. So despite the fact that Danny DeVito is in 3 movies with Michael Keaton, who was also in a movie with Jack Nicholson, which, as we were just mentioning, Tim Burton films, we couldn't do it that fast. We have to go
We
out
wouldn't make
and come
that leap.
back.
Okay.
All right.
Danny DeVito is in 3 films I can think of with Michael Keaton, 2 of which are Burton films.
He was in Johnny Dangerously, as
He was
previously
in
mentioned,
Johnny
He
Dangerously.
was.
That's right.
which is a good that's a good wide open cast.
That is one of those films with Michael Keaton, but you're right. There's so many other people in it, including somebody in a movie that Josh Fink, you said should never be remade.
Oh man, that was such a long list. I can't remember what movie I said.
You said they should never remake Young Frankenstein.
That's right. I did say
no,
that.
they shouldn't remake that.
That's
I
right.
don't think it'll ever get better.
and who was in that? Who was in Johnny
From Luca?
Dangerously?
No.
Oh,
This was in Johnny Dangerously. That was also in Young Frankenstein.
Yes.
oh,
Ooh.
Peter Boyle.
Peter Boyle, that's
Peter Boyle.
correct. He plays the boss in
Oh, he does.
Johnny Dangerously, and he plays the monster in Young Frankenstein.
That's correct.
Now we can go that route or not. I was just having fun because it was a good connection there. But so do you want to go Danny DeVito to Johnny Dangerously?
I think it's topical.
Okay,
Yeah, let's
so
go
let's
with it.
put that down as our second movie. And what else can we get to from Johnny Dangerously? Who was in that movie? So many people. Start rattling them off.
So you got Piscopo, you got Mary Lou Henner,
Mm-hmm.
Danny DeVito, as we said, obviously Peter Boyle.
Who plays
Griffin Dunn.
Griffin Dunn. That's where I was going.
Griffin Dunn. I pulled that out
Griffin
of there.
Dunn. What else was Griffin Dunn in?
Griffin
He's-
Dunn.
he's been in a lot of
American
things.
Werewolf in London.
He's
Oh,
also
okay,
directed
okay.
things.
Now I've got it.
Is it Griffin Dunn or Griffin Dune?
It's Griffin Dunn.
It is Griffin Dunn.
Yes,
Okay,
Griffin Dunn. Yeah, it's like the most Irish name ever, Griffin Dunn.
sure. So where do you want to go and try to think of either how we're going to get to Sigourney Weaver, or Kevin Bacon for 2 points, or
Ooh.
Jack Nicholson, eventually.
Was Kevin Bacon in Johnny Dangerously? No. He
He's
would have
not.
been a kid at that point.
Was anybody in Johnny Dangerously in a movie with Kevin Bacon? And I don't know the answer to that.
I don't.
Mm.
There's a chance. Joe Piscopo
Let me think.
might have
Yeah.
been.
So Joe Piscopo got very famous in the 1980-81 season.
We might get a. Was he in SNL?
Saturday
Yes,
Night
he was
Live.
in
Yeah, we
SNL
get an
alone.
SNL point for going with
You
Joe
would,
Piscopo.
You would.
But do we get any other connections from
Right.
him?
He got famous quickly as a standout until they finally figured out what to do with Eddie Murphy halfway through the season.
Yeah.
And then it was like the two of them for the second half of the season. But by the next season, Eddie Murphy was clearly the star. He became the only current cast member to ever host the show while a cast member. And somebody said that Joe Piscopo let Eddie Murphy's fame go to his head.
Oh no.
And but I did see Joe Piscopo right here in Asbury Park when he came over to Russo Music as part of a I think it was a Gibson guitar that he's sponsored by, and he was doing something with them.
They definitely do events at.
Did he have Kevin Bacon with him?
He did not.
Damn, still not getting the Kevin Bacon.
One half of the Bacon brothers was not here at the music. And you know what? Let's keep this going right after the break.
Hey, it's producer Jason stepping in here real quick to thank you for listening to 5 to 9, a movie game podcast. We're actually really excited to bring this show back for its new season with new and improved audio and video. If you're listening to the audio version, make sure you subscribe on your podcast app of choice to make sure you get the newest episodes as soon as they release. And if you want to watch the video as well, make sure you subscribe on YouTube. Links to all of these can be found at 5to9game.com. Okay, you followed? You there? You got it? Great. Let's get back to the show.
All right, so guys, where we left off, we were trying to figure out which of the many routes we could take coming out of Johnny Dangerously. We're trying to get to Jack Nicholson. If we can get through Sigourney Weaver for the bonus, let's do it. What do we have? Maybe start working backwards. What are some Sigourney Weaver movies that you can kind of connect? And let me tell you, I know in my head of a movie with Sigourney Weaver and Winona Ryder. What movie is that?
Was it Alien or Aliens?
It's Alien Resurrection.
Alien Resurrection, that's correct. So if we can just get to Sigourney Weaver, we can make it immediately to Winona Ryder.
So we got to get from Johnny Dangerously to Sigourney Weaver.
Oh yeah, earlier I was saying Jack Nicholson, and then that gets us to Michael Keaton back to Jack Nicholson. That would have been a loop. That was not the point.
Yeah, we can't loop.
Okay,
we can't loop that.
All right. So let's. I'm going to put down a little note about Winona Ryder, and a woman with a lot of Y's in her name, who is in Alien Resurrection. That was the 4th film in the franchise, and now
I feel like we can get to. We just have to. What's the leap to Sigourney Weaver?
We'll start rattling off Sigourney Weaver movies. She's been in so many movies.
Yeah, we've got both of the original Ghostbuster movies. We've got
and actually all 4 Ghostbuster movies, not just the 2 original. She popped up every time.
Did she?
I did not see the last Ghostbuster movie.
She the only one?
Nope. They are actually all in all of them, except for, of course, Harold Ramis, who passed away in the Ghostbusters movie that starred Melissa McCarthy and Kristen Wiig. There was a bust of Harold Ramis in the hallway of the college, but everybody else had a small cameo, not as their original characters.
Right.
Whereas in Ghostbusters Afterlife, they did reprise their original characters.
Yeah, that's what I was...
Because that film does take place in the original universe. And you can tell because of the Nestle's Crunch wrapper in Egon Spengler's jumpsuit. That's how you can tell. It's the same universe. Because that's what all the fans were clamoring for was
the Crunch wrap.
Nods to us, the fans. Oh, yeah, he did have a Nestle's Crunch bar that one time.
That one time. He ate a thing.
That one time.
I saw him eat a thing.
Okay, so all the Ghostbusters movies. What else?
Oh, geez. You got the first 4 Alien films.
Sure. Before Michael Fassbender took over.
Right. We've got
not a bad thing.
Heartbreakers, which we were just talking about with Ray Liotta.
And Ray Liotta, and also who else was in that?
Jennifer Love Hewitt.
And
lost her name for a second there.
I got 2 more names I'm looking for.
Jason Lee is in that.
Jason Lee is in that. Yep, he's the one getting his heart broken.
Yes.
And who was Sigourney Weaver's mark in that?
Oh, it was Gene Hackman.
Gene Hackman, that's correct. Wow, so can any of those connect to anybody in Johnny Dangerously?
Oh, wow. Ooh, my mind is spinning. You got me spinning.
There's gotta be.
Yeah, there has to be. This is great contribution from you, Dogmatic. Well, Josh Fink does all the work.
I didn't promise to know names. I paint faces, which is great for this audio medium.
Oh yeah.
So what else is Sigourney Weaver in?
Oh man. How many more do I have to list? Can you list it?
Can I?
What's she in right now?
What's she in
now?
She's
in Avatar.
She is in both.
She's
in 2 Avatar movies.
That's correct.
She's in Avatar and Avatar 2 Full Throttle.
Something of water. The Shape of Water, right? Oh. No. Something water.
Avatar Family Values.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Avatar with a Vengeance.
Avatar: The Wrath of Khan.
Right.
Yes. the search for the search for Sigourney.
Sure.
That's actually not that far off.
No, I didn't see it, so I'm guessing. Probably right.
Okay, so where are we going to go? We're at Johnny Dangerously.
We are.
How do we make this connection?
Oh man.
Thought it'd be so easy, and then I
Right.
realized I was going backwards.
I mean,
We didn't have to get to Winona Ryder to get
we're
to
not
Sigourney.
married to Johnny Dangerously. We can go back to Danny DeVito and go a different route. What else is Danny DeVito in?
So many things, but what didn't we mention?
So many things. Rattle them all off. Why don't you?
We did
Please.
Matilda, Big Fish.
Yep.
Is he
Batman
in it?
Returns.
Batman
Yeah,
Returns. Yep,
oh.
that's another Burton film he's in.
but that'd be another Michael Keaton connection. So
We can go Michael Keaton.
but there's other who else was in Michelle? Was that Michelle Pfeiffer in
Michelle
Batman
Pfeiffer.
Returns?
Yes,
Yes.
absolutely.
And
Michelle Pfeiffer was also in a movie with Jack Nicholson called The Witches of Eastwick.
yes,
That's right.
That was excellent.
A lot of folks have acted with Jack Nicholson.
That's true too.
Maybe like what else is Danny DeVito in that's based on a book? I don't know. See if you can get more points over there.
Well,
Matilda.
Matilda.
Matilda. Okay. All right. So let's, you know what? Let's back it up to Matilda. And who else is in Matilda?
Uh,
Who is the star of Matilda? Who plays Matilda?
oh, what's her name?
Yes, that's the one.
Yes. Starts with M, right?
Yeah, it does start with an M.
Yeah, it's on the tip of my
Matilda.
Mara.
Okay, Mara.
Wilson?
There you go.
Oh, thank you.
There you go.
Mara
Dogmatic
Wilson.
pulling his weight. All right. And what else is Mara Wilson in? She's a writer now.
Yes, but as a
but-
child, she had some stuff.
She did.
She was swinging around in the 90s.
She was in Matilda, and you know, a very sad story, but a very touching story was that Danny DeVito was obviously the director of Matilda, and
Yes.
Mara Wilson's mother was terminally ill during the point of that movie, and Mara came and lived with Danny DeVito and his wife Rhea Perlman, and Danny DeVito made sure that Mara Wilson's mother got to see a rough cut of the movie before she passed, and you know that really meant a lot to Mara Wilson.
Don't be
She's
putting lumps
spoken
in my
racely on
throat
it.
during the show, Ginsburg. I got to be able to speak clearly here.
All right. So what else is Mara Wilson in?
Eric,
She
that's
was
all well
in-
and good, but let's not forget the Taylor Ham thing.
All right. You know what? Let's call Danny DeVito 1-1 right now. He's in a
Yes.
dead heat with himself. It's a tie.
She was the youngest daughter in Miss Doubtfire. Is that correct?
That's correct.
I
So let's
believe.
put Mrs. Doubtfire up here. And who was in Mrs. Doubtfire?
Miss Doubtfire. You got Sally Field. You've got you've got that other Lawrence brother. What's
One of those Lawrences.
not Joey Lawrence, but the other Lawrence.
Another
is in that.
Lawrence. You know,
I
as a
don't remember his
kid,
name.
I really felt like Sally Fields was being, you
You
know,
got Pierce Brosnan. Sorry, I'm just
no, you're right. That's
Yeah.
great.
Pierce Brosnan's
I,
in there.
I felt like Sally Field was really being a buzzkill, but then you know you watch it as an adult and you're like, he brought a donkey into the house. Like, yeah, that's grounds for divorce. Okay,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
Pierce Brosnan. How did we get to Sigourney Weaver from Pierce Brosnan or Sally Field or who else? Obviously,
Robin Williams?
Robin Williams.
Robin Williams. That's
who-
right. He is in that movie, isn't he?
somewhere.
It was all the CGI. Wait.
I think he's
somewhere.
got a cameo in there.
Who plays his brother?
It was the
Oh,
drive-by
that's right. It's Harvey.
Harvey, yes.
Firestein.
That's correct.
That's right. Wow, look at me go.
So many good parts in that movie. No
glad
small
we brought you.
parts. All right. So how do we get from one of them to Sigourney Weaver? We got to bring this bird in for a landing.
I know.
I mean, we can take a couple of jumps to get there.
Yeah. We could use
Sigourney
Harvey Firestein to jump to Independence Day, which will open up a lot more people.
So Harvey Firestein was in Independence Day.
Yes.
Okay. So let's go Harvey Firestein.
from Mrs.
Oh,
Doubtfire.
so we're going. We're going. Danny. How did we do this? We went Danny DeVito.
Danny DeVito, Matilda, Mara
Ma-
Wilson, Mrs. Doubtfire, Harvey
Ma-
Firestein.
Tilda.
Was in Independence
With
Day.
Mara. I'm sorry. I'm catching up here. Mara Wilson.
Yep. So how do we get from Independence
in-
Day to Sigourney Weaver?
Doubtfire with Harvey I'm catching up. Who's in
Will Smith.
Will Smith.
You
Who
got
else?
Jeff Goldblum.
Jeff Goldblum.
Oh, Goldblum.
Has Goldblum ever did anything with Sigourney Weaver? It feels like they should have been at some point.
There's
Some kind
that's
of
a big
science-y
cast. That's
thing,
what I was
Feels
saying. I was
like.
headed that
I don't
way.
know.
So that's a big cast. You've also got Bill Pullman. You've got Vivica Fox. You've got you got a lot of people to work with in this cast. But I was like, Independence Day.
Who plays Will Smith's partner?
Oh, you got Harry Connick Jr.
Sure, Harry Connick Jr. Yeah.
Harry Connick Jr. Let's think about Goldblum for a second. I think we might
have a Weaver?
a direction. We might be able to weave. We might be able to weave something.
Okay, so how do we get from Goldblum to Sigourney Weaver?
Let's think. So we've got 2 Jurassic Parks. We've got The Fly.
We've got more than 2 Jurassic Parks.
Yes, that's true.
Goldblum came back in the
Yes.
I think 4
later
of them.
ones,
Yes.
right?
Well,
Yeah.
yes.
He was in
the
one-
last.
Definitely in the
He was in the
most
last
recent.
2 and the first 2.
Yeah, that's correct.
There we go. That's the easiest
correct.
way to say it. He was
First 2 and the last 2.
and the first 2.
You got it. Life finds a way.
Right. Think finds a way.
Life wants a paycheck. Yeah.
Well, I mean, let me ask you this. Hold on. Let me ask you this because we said earlier that Sigourney Weaver was in all the Ghostbusters movies.
Right.
Right. And I feel somewhere in my heart that there's a connection between the SNL alumni of that film and who was in Independence Day, who was also an SNL cast member.
Ooh. SNL cast member.
That's correct. He was only on for 1 season.
You know too much about this. You're
It
the
was-
inside man, aren't
Is
you?
it John Hirsch? Was he on SNL?
No. It was Lorne Michaels. I think his first season back when he tried putting together a bunch of movie stars, or maybe that was the season before. I can't exactly remember. But who's the one who flew the plane into the alien ship?
Oh, wow. Randy Quaid.
Randy Quaid.
That
That's
maniac.
correct. Younger brother of Dennis Quaid, who right now is not in legal trouble. Randy Quaid.
A
So
unique moment in his life.
So there's a lot of SNL connection. How do we get SNL wise? I've got it right here in my head. How do we go from Randy Quaid to somebody in Ghostbusters?
Ooh.
What other famous films would Randy Quaid be in with other SNL cast members?
Randy Quaid was in a lot of the vacation movies.
He was
in vacation
specifically.
movies.
Give me one.
Oh, jeez.
Family Vacation or the Christmas Vacation?
Chicago Christmas Vacation.
With
So Christmas Vacation is the only vacation movie with its own sequel, which the sequel actually stars Randy Quaid. So we have Christmas Vacation, and who's the star of Christmas Vacation?
Would be Mr.
Chevy Chase.
Right, and who's Chevy Chase's boss in Christmas Vacation?
Oh, wow.
Sigourney Weaver?
No, no, but you're super close because it's somebody who was in Ghostbusters.
Man, it's been so long since.
Who's
Ray?
Who's who's the boss who when
Vigo, the Carpathian.
no, not I'm not talking about in Ghostbusters boss. I'm talking about in Vacation, the
He's
boss,
the big boss.
who cousin Eddie, Randy Quaid, goes and kidnaps, and when Chevy Chase does his monologue and he is screaming at his boss, he does it all in one take, and they had the lines written on each cast member. They were all holding up a sign with part of the rant so he could just kind of pivot through the room and just keep the rant going in one whole take.
That's all useful, but I don't remember the guy's name.
Who was that boss?
Ugh.
Who's in Ghostbusters?
Who's in Ghostbusters? Well, you've got
Who's your favorite Ghostbuster?
you got Bill Murray.
Right.
Murray.
Everybody's favorite Ghostbuster is Bill Murray.
But I don't remember Bill
And-
Murray and Chris.
And that's okay,
Okay.
because who's in a lot of movies with Bill Murray?
Harold Ramis.
Sure.
Dan Aykroyd.
Who's somebody that maybe he feels some sort of fraternal obligation to bring into all of his movies?
His brother?
His brother, who is
Brian
Not
Doyle
Bill Murray.
Murray.
Brian Doyle Murray. Guys, we did it with a lot of fucking help.
Oh, Brian
I
Doyle Murray
cursed.
was the boss?
That's correct. So
Okay.
Brian
Oh.
Doyle Murray is the boss in Christmas Vacation. He is in what movie with Sigourney Weaver?
Ghostbusters?
I'll give it to you guys. He is the psychiatrist in
That's right.
the
Ghostbusters
jail.
2 in this. Yep.
In Ghostbusters 2, let's cinch it up. He also plays Bill Murray's dad in Scrooged. He also is in Caddyshack. Well, is he in Caddyshack, or he just wrote Caddyshack? But he was also an SNL cast member. Guys, we have done it. We have won
we got
the game.
that going for us.
Which is nice. Guys, let's talk about how we've won the game. We had to get from Jack Nicholson to Winona Ryder, ideally through Sigourney Weaver, which you did.
We did.
So we said Jack Nicholson was in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest,
With Danny DeVito.
which is a book first,
Book.
with Danny DeVito, who was in Matilda, which was a book first,
Right.
with Mara Wilson, who was in Mrs. Doubtfire. Jason, can you tell me if Mrs. Doubtfire was a book first? Because I legitimately do not know. With Harvey Fierstein, who was in Independence Day, with Randy Quaid,
That's
who was
clearly
in,
a book, I think.
who was in Christmas Vacation. Now, Vacation started out as an article in National Lampoon magazine, so it was not a book
don't think it
unto
was a book.
itself.
It was literary.
With Brian Doyle Murray, who was in Ghostbusters 2 with Sigourney Weaver,
Definitely a book.
who's in Alien Resurrection with Winona Ryder. So, folks, we have 10 minus the number of movies. We had 7 movies, so that's going to be 3 points on movies. We're going to go 3 points for our wild card of Sigourney Weaver. For our house rule, we nailed it 2 times, 2 books.
Well, the
I'll
question
put a
is,
2 over there.
does a graphic novel count as a book?
What would be the graphic novel you're thinking of?
Alien Resurrection
and
would
here-
have come out of Dark Horse Comics.
Well, here's the question. Was the movie based on the comic, or was the comic an adaptation of the film?
the comic started as an adaptation of the film, and then they
Right.
did the graphic novels, and then
But the movie
third
wasn't based on a
movie-
book.
it's based on the graphic novels that were adapted from the original films.
You know what? I'm going to give it to you for fun.
Alien Resurrection graphic novel was based on the film, not the other way around.
But he's saying that the entire
The graphic
Alien
novel
franchise.
was based on the Alien franchise.
Eric, I'll let you be the judge.
Yeah, I don't
You know
need.
what?
I don't need the points.
Yeah, you know what?
I just thought it was interesting that that Resurrection is based off of material that came out of the comic books that followed the film.
I'm going to give it to you because
Points are free, Eric. Give him a point.
things,
Yay!
it costs me nothing.
It's the one thing I know.
did
Look how happy you just made him.
Lovely.
Did we get Kevin Bacon? No. Did we get
No.
SNL cast members? Oh boy, we had Randy Quaid and Brian Doyle Murray, who in Bill Murray's absence was himself the host of Weekend Update. So we got 2 SNL points over there, guys. 3 plus 3 is 6, plus another 3 is 9, plus 2 is a mighty 11 points. Jason, what other fun connections could we have used?
I have so many cool ones here. So I found
Give me some of your coolest ones.
I found some very
Thanks, IMDb.
I found some very direct routes here. You go from Jack Nicholson through Mars Attacks to get to Martin Short, who's an SNL cast member.
Lovely.
And who was also in Clifford,
Oh God.
which Dogmatic is mad that he made his parents pay to see.
It
Go
was
ahead, go
my
ahead.
turn. Yeah. We'll digress from that.
Martin Short could also get us through Frankenweenie to Winona Ryder. So you can go either way on Martin Short.
That's true. Martin Short, actually from Clifford, Charles Grodin was in Dave with Sigourney Weaver.
There's
There
a
you
good
go.
link. That was the one I was thinking of.
There you
A
go.
couple of the fun ones. I got Jack Nicholson through I'm Still Here, that great Joaquin Phoenix
Right.
mockumentary.
that's not
God.
Bob Dylan.
Took me an,
Totally not
took
Bob
me an
Dylan.
embarrassingly long time to realize that was not a real movie.
Oh my God.
Which gets us Ben Stiller, which can get us through Zoolander to Winona Ryder.
Okay.
Wait, was Winona Ryder in Zoolander?
She's like in the.
Does she play Winona Ryder?
Yes.
Was she one of the many? Donald
Does
Trump
Winona-
was one of the cameos in that too.
I'll find out who she played, but I know she was in it.
Yes. She's no.
She
She's
basically just plays Winona Ryder in most of her movies.
she's
Like
at
Jack
the
Nicholson.
she's at the walk off thing, the fashion show. She's just like one of the people in the crowd, I believe.
Oh, interesting. Where David Bowie is the judge. All right, what else you got for us, Jason?
Kevin Bacon was in A Few Good Men with Jack Nicholson.
That is true.
That was right off
We
the
could
bat there.
have gotten that
That was
jump right out
there.
the gate.
That
Could
was
have
right
gotten those
there.
points. Missed points.
We could have gotten to Kevin Bacon from Winona Ryder by going through She's Having a Baby with Will Wheaton.
Mm.
Oh,
And then
Will Wheaton.
Will Wheaton and was in Star Trek with Winona Ryder.
There you go.
Start. What's
You guys got the Alien Resurrection.
Wait, hold on. What Star Trek movie?
Winona-
Because
The,
Winona.
the first reboot.
So
That was
Oh.
the 2009 one.
hold on.
Mm.
Winona Ryder played Spock's mother in that.
Oh.
But was Will Wheaton in that? I don't think Will Wheaton would have been in that.
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised
Eric,
that he
I'm
was.
literally the one IMDbing everything off screen here.
All right, I'll just shut my mouth.
This is the problem with open source coding. They just write whatever they want in and it becomes a fact.
This is not open source coding. That's a different term.
You guys,
different
you guys
thing.
got the
whatever.
You guys got the Alien Resurrection
Internets.
connection.
We did.
I also found Jack Nicholson through anger management to Kevin Nealon, another SNL cast member.
Another SNL cast.
That could get us through Heartbreakers to Sigourney Weaver.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, right.
Or hear me out, Adam Sandler in anger management to Mr. Deeds with Winona Ryder.
That'll do it. That'll do it.
That's
Quality.
a nice one. Spicy.
You guys were trying earlier to go through Jeff Goldblum and trying to get to Sigourney Weaver. They were in Annie Hall together.
There we go.
Oh,
There we
wow.
go.
I have
Don't
confirmed
remember
for
enough
you.
of that.
I have confirmed for you that Brian Domery was also cast in Groundhog Day as Buster.
That's
Yes.
right.
He was the mayor.
Yep.
He was the one who he performed the Heimlich
Yes,
maneuver
I
on.
could not think of who Buster was. And Mrs.
The
Doubtfire.
prognosticator of prognosticators.
Mrs. Doubtfire is based on the 1987 novel Madame Doubtfire.
Then that's going to be an extra point. Thank you so much. See, that's what I was wondering about, and it's going to bring us up to 12 points, gentlemen.
that might be a new high score.
That might be a new high score for season 2. Jason, am I free to wrap it up?
That's all I got.
Josh and Josh, thank you so much for taking the time to be on 5 to 9, for playing our game. You've each won the official 5 to 9 gamepad, which comes with 50 game cards and is also available now at 5to9game.com. Listeners, make sure to check out Dogmatic live art wherever you can. Make sure to check out New Jersey Poetry Renaissance whenever you see them. And of course, make sure to check out Joshua Fink's book, The Bones of Madness, wherever you get books, if it's in those places, which I don't know.
Get it at an NJ Poetry Renaissance
There
show.
you go. If you
Yeah.
5 to 9ers listening out there, we're chomping at the bit, yelling out better solutions for today's challenge. Enter for a chance to come on the show by beating us at our own game. Get your official 5 to 9 game cards at 5to9game.com. Play today's challenge and tag at 5 to 9 game with your winning game card on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook to show us how it's done. High scores as well as creativity and entertainment value will all be considered. This has been 5 to 9. I'm your host, Eric Ginsberg. Our show was recorded at the Showroom Cinema on Cookman Avenue in Asbury Park, New Jersey. Our producers are Jason Portizo and Laura Ginsberg. Our theme music is Monday Night on an Otherwise Empty Beach on my album Fire, streaming on all platforms. Subscribe to 5 to 9 wherever you get podcasts. Follow us on social media at 5 to 9 Game to play with or against the global 5 to 9 community. Thanks for listening, and let's play together again soon.